Okay, so I was going to touch on Christmas today, but I was going to start with an opener, which is you would have seen on the Facebook group this week, and I will share it again today. In fact, UC will put a link on this thread that we've, because of what everyone was saying, we've set up a special program for Christmas, which is a 5-week program that would take you from the 27th of November all the way through to the 1st of January, with special support and help to get you through Christmas, which will be specific online tools to help you identify triggers and plan ahead, a special Facebook group of people who are really working hard to get through their first sober Christmas, some special love and care and attention from me. I'll be spending extra time with that group to get you through Christmas, and lots of extra advice and tips, and a special webinar for that group every Sunday, which I'll be running before this one, which focuses very particularly on Christmas and has a lot more engagement. So it's not very expensive. It's a £50 program, which means you get loads of special coaching from me for that. So do take a look at it. UC's going to share a link, and I will tell you a little bit more about it. Thank you, UC. As we go through, I want some more people on the program. There's only a set number of places. There's only 10 places on the program. We've already sold a few. So if any of you want to be on that and have some special care and attention over Christmas, then that's my sort of mostly my sales bit over. But that doesn't mean I'm ignoring everybody else at Christmas. And it's really interesting to me that the talk about Christmas started last week at the start of November. So that's clear that you're getting anxious, and part of that might be because you're also beginning to get invites for Christmas things for work, and beginning to think about Christmas Day if you haven't already organised it, and some of those pressures that come with it, and knowing full well that the booze is going to begin to flow, and now is a time which is really trigger heavy. And I think it's really trigger heavy because Christmas has become all about consumption. So it's not just about the alcohol, it's about the food, it's about the going out, it's about buying and buying more and more gifts. And actually what that creates is more than just loads of drink triggers, but a whole trigger around the fact that this is the month that you can treat yourself, and treating yourself is about indulging yourself, and indulging yourself is about spending money. And we'll be surrounded by even more adverts than normal that work even harder to make us do that. And I think that creates a massive bubble and a massive stress and headache, because it's all about consuming. So part of Christmas is about reframing that for you. Christmas is also, it's quite possible that every Christmas you've done for the last 10 years is very similar in its play out over December. You know, at the start of December you start getting the invites for the parties, and then you've got certain different family events, and Christmas Day happens all the same way. So it's a month full of traditions that have accidentally fallen upon us. We don't know where they've come from, but they've begun to happen because of where we work or where we live or who we're friends with. And I remember really just before we launched in 2015, so Christmas 2014, I remember reading a blog by somebody that I then replicated which was Rachel Black. It's somewhere on our website if you type in Christmas. And she talked about the fact that every Christmas was about setting up lots of little mini occasions to look like she was being social, but really they were all excuses to get people in her home in order to have an excuse to drink more. So I wonder how many of our traditions that we have around Christmas, the time we spend with people at Christmas, isn't anything to do with being friendly and lovely and gorgeous to other people. It's all about finding excuses to have another drink, which actually, when I think about it, that's what Christmas was for me. So how can you deal with Christmas this year? Well, first of all, I think you need to reflect. First of all, you need to reflect on what last Christmas was like, because for nearly all of you, last Christmas, you were drinkers. So take a moment, pause, have a think. What was your last Christmas like? What did you enjoy? And I think it is important to point out the things that you enjoyed, whether they involved alcohol or not, but the things that you enjoyed last Christmas, and the things that you didn't, the things that you might regret, the hangover you might have had on Boxing Day or even on Christmas Day. Write down the things that you wish could have been different. because that's your starting point for planning your Christmas this year. What was it about last year that was joyous, and what about it makes you cringe when you think back? Because you need to get rid of all those things that made you cringe. You need to put in more of those things that made you joyous. And as well as looking back on last year and reflecting what it was like for you last year as a drinker, and Jules had liver failure, so nobody's going, all right, you've beaten us in the competition of who was the worst drinker last Christmas. Jules wins, right? But going back to last Christmas, try and go back a bit further. So if you think about your pattern of Christmas, and I told you that we've got these traditions that I think we've built up over time, don't just look at this Christmas. Go back over the last few Christmases. Don't just think about the things that relate to your drinking, but also go back and think, oh my God, I have done this. I've gone to Joan and Jack's up the road every Christmas Eve for the last 10 years. And we've got rat-assed, or I've always done this, or I've always done that. What are the traditions? What are the patterns that shape your Christmas? Because they do tend to come. Did you always go Christmas shopping? Did you always do it in the morning so you could go and have a boozy lunch? What are the things that have been built into your Christmas traditions that you might now need to start unpicking? For me, it was the fact that whilst we don't have any children that are part of our Christmas day, because my mother seems to have brought up 3 children that don't want children themselves, we all therefore brought loads of alcohol and lots of drinks, and me and my brothers got to a point where we were competing with each other on, you know, the most fancy pants drink that we could bring, and then playing piss Scrabble. I actually enjoy playing piss Scrabble, but I can recreate that Scrabble without being pissed and still have as much fun. But what are the traditions that you've built in? Because not only do you need to not do some of the things you did last Christmas, but you need to start shaking up your Christmas routine. So sit and write that down. And if you're doing the online coaching course with me this year, you'll get to write all of those down, set yourself a plan, and we'll begin to look at that together and come up with some suggestion ideas on how to change that. So you also need to review and unpick. So what things do you need to unpick now that you're not a drinker? How is it you're going to do your Christmas shopping? How is it you're going to buy presents and do that part of your routine? Who are you going to visit? When are you going to go and visit? What about your staff and company Christmas parties? Begin to write all of those down, because what that then begins to give you is the start of your list of triggers. And like I said, Christmas is really trigger happy. So you need to come and look at those. But before we go on to triggers, I want to sit and talk to you about reviewing, reframing Christmas in your head. Now, as I said at the beginning, Christmas has become this really consumerist-led thing. Everything is about getting us to eat and drink and buy. And actually, you need to be able to take a step back and say, well, what is Christmas for me? Is it time with friends? Is it time with family? Does the goodwill thing mean something to you? Is it about being kind to other people? Because gifts is about kindness at its bottom level. Spending time with people is about being social at its bottom level. None of this says you have to have drinking as part of it. So how do you begin to unpick what it is that you want from this Christmas? So I know what I want from this Christmas. I want for this Christmas to, over December, spend a bit of time with some friends that I haven't spent so much time with this year because I've been really busy with stuff. So I want to put some time aside where I spend a really nice bit of time with them. I also want to spend some time with my grandmother. I'm actually not that fussed about spending time with my brothers or my mother. We have lots of other occasions, but my grandmother's 94. She's not very mobile, and Christmas is one other occasion which I can go and see her. So for me, it's not about whether or not it's Christmas. It's about the fact that there's some time that I can put aside to spend with my grandmother, and that's more important to me than any of the pomp and circumstance of the occasion. Now for you, you need to begin to reframe Christmas. What is it for you? Is it about spending time with your children, doing some really fun activities and being really present for them? Is it about making something special happen for them? Is it about a friend of yours doing something good for them? what's Christmas for you? How can you start to build some new traditions that take over from those old ones that more often than not ended up with a glass in your hand? What is it that you can do? Now, we're not short of things to do anymore around Christmas. They could be about always going to watch a Christmas film, however shit it is. It could be always about going to a pantomime. East London does the best pantomimes ever. So, you know, even if it involves now going for a day trip to somewhere, it's all manageable because you're not hungover when you wake up and you're not drunk when you get home. So a day out with your family or day out with friends suddenly becomes more achievable. Is there a really lovely event on somewhere near you? Does a town have a switching on of the lights where they'll also have hot chocolate and those things? How can you create some memorable moments for you that no longer involve alcohol? And if we really think about it, they weren't that memorable last year because you don't remember them anyway. So begin to think about what your new Christmas traditions are. I'm hoping some of you have got some suggestions and ideas, but we've got the internet, doesn't take much. You know, do you want to go to the German fair in Hyde Park? I would suggest not, to be honest, but you might want to go ice skating. You might want to go ice skating in the Natural History Museum and then go and see the dinosaurs afterwards with your children. Absolutely perfect. So begin to think about who you want to spend time with and some new traditions that you can build with them, and begin to plan those. There is nothing more exciting than planning new ways of doing things and new ways to do your Christmas. And again, when we do the coaching course this Christmas, we'll be working on those with you quite intensely so that you can begin to think about building new traditions. And they also don't have to be about big, exciting days out. They can be about, you know, spending some time volunteering. They can be about spending some time with some elderly neighbours that you've never really spent time with before. It could be about spending some time with friends who had a bit of a shit year and just doing something nice for them, like taking a cake round. This is about spending time with people and being social and being kind. It's not about spending money and consuming so much food and drink that you really don't feel that you can move at the end of December. Nobody says it has to be like that. It is not compulsory. Okay, so we've talked about creating new traditions, new people, places and things, taking the consuming out and bringing the joy back in. New moments of joy, that's what I want for you this Christmas. Share your ideas and thoughts on the Facebook group. Think about the things that you want to be present for, that you feel that being there 100% in the moment will make a big difference to your Christmas last year. But that doesn't mean it's plain sailing. What it means is you'll have things throughout the month to look forward to, and they're really helpful because they're the rewards. They're the rewards for being good. They're the rewards for avoiding triggers. They're the rewards for saying no to some things so that you can say yes to this. Because it's always important to remember this Christmas that when you say yes to a drink, what is it you're saying no to? If you say yes to a drink on a Friday night, you're saying no to taking your kids ice skating on a Saturday morning. You're saying no to coming to our Christmas lunch on the 3rd of December, of which there are only a few places left. You're saying no to maybe going away for the weekend on a suddenly madcap trip to see if there's to go to a real German market in Germany. So when you say yes to alcohol, remember what it is that you're saying no to, and you're saying no to all these wonderful things that you're planning for yourself throughout the month, because you are going to have new traditions, whether you like it or not. One of the first things that I said no to when I first gave up drinking was not going home for Christmas for the first time ever. I sat and I had nothing Christmassy at all on Christmas Day apart from Christmas Doctor Who, which is, you know, slightly like religious. So I had to do that. But otherwise, it was really nice to have a Christmas Day that wasn't Christmas Day. So remember, new joy this year. You've got to have new high points in your month that you can look forward to, which means you can then avoid your triggers. And like I said, you know, Christmas is trigger happy. And you will have loads of external triggers. You'll have friends inviting you over for drinks. You'll have Christmas. You might have a Christmas party, which is party, finger food, nibbles, loads of wine on a table. You might have a Christmas party that's a dinner around with colleagues and friends that you've not even talked about not drinking with yet. You may have triggers that just involve the fact that there's random alcohol everywhere. My mum works in Marks and Spencer's doing their tasting stuff at Christmas, and honestly, you could walk in there and every wine they're trying to give you to taste in order to buy it. So you're surrounded by temptation. And as you know, I quite like to be rebellious about this stuff. Wouldn't it be great to remember to walk around and go, this Christmas, I'm not a consumer. I'm just enjoying Christmas, and so I don't need this wine. I don't want to drink it. I'm above this. You have to have that little moment of smugness. I'm above this. I'm going to go through this Christmas, and I'm not going to come out feeling full of Christmas pudding and slightly sozzled. I am having a different Christmas this year, and it's full of things to do, not things to shove in my face. So that's one thing that you can do. Remember to reset your mindset into a really positive but rebellious mode. The second is to plan some of those events. So first of all, I'd say it's absolutely fine if you don't want to go to something. You have to treat yourself with consent. You are still doing something really difficult, a behaviour change that nearly everyone around you really wishes they could do, but they haven't managed. So first of all, if you really don't think you can tackle something, find an excuse and say you can't go. And feel happy about that. Plan something else to do for yourself so you don't get to feel FOMO. That's fine, but you're allowed to say no. You are also allowed to say yes and go along. And there are several things that you can do. First of all, if it's a party with work, then be bullish with work. You know, what drinks have you got if I don't fancy drinking? If you want to be bullish with work. And we've got a blog that I've done on how to treat your non-drinking guests with love and attention. Say to them, you know, you might want to get a few non-alcoholic drinks in because you know how boozy these things can get. You don't even have to expose yourself as the non-drinker. So suggest to them they might want to get some alternatives in that are not alcoholic but feel just as special. And that's the key to your party drinks. You want to feel like somebody's given a shit about what it is that you will be drinking, that they want you to stay for beyond one really warm, lukewarm orange juice. So do say to work, you know, look, we've got quite a diverse workforce. How about getting something different in? You don't have to expose yourself if you don't want to. The second is always my favourite, take your own. No one will really notice, no one will really care. After the second drink, definitely no one will really care. So if you're one of those parties where it's in the office and there's loads of drinks around, or even in a pub, just take your own. If you go into the pub with colleagues, do what Susie did last year, which is to get there just after everyone else, get your own drink, sit at the table with your own drink and never participate in that round, or get there early or late, either one. And I'll be around, for those doing the sober coaching course at Christmas, I'll be around online when you're at those events to help keep you on the straight and narrow. The other thing is if you're going for a meal, I suspect you're going to have to suck up the cost of sharing the cost of everyone else's alcoholic drink. I guess that's the most disappointing bit about Christmas, isn't it? But, you know, if you're doing that, make sure that you're going to get something really special. We were having a conversation last week about the fact that nearly everywhere that does a Christmas event has free Prosecco, and then there's a free aperitif and there's free wine. They've got no non-alcoholic equivalent. Oh, I know what it was. We're working with an NHS organisation and that's their Christmas party. There's no non-alcoholic alternative. And the guy from the alcohol team was going, oh, well, it's really awful. I just don't know how to say. If you want to, phone up the venue in advance and say you'd like their non-alcoholic alternative on that day. Or again, say, I notice you've not got a non-alcoholic drink. I'd like to bring my own. And again, if you don't want to be exposed as the non-drinker, then you're going to have a plan. You're going to have a plan to order your own, mix your own drink when you're there. All of this is easy if you've got a plan. But you but you do need to make sure that you avoid having that first drink and that you've got somebody on text or speed dial, like I will be on the coaching course, to coach you through saying no to the first few drinks. But always have an alternative, and even if that alternative is something else to put in your mouth that isn't alcohol, that will help get you through the first few drinks. Once everyone else starts getting pissed, you'll feel very different. So again, you need to plan for your triggers. You need to work out how you're going to avoid them, how you're going to escape early, or how you're going to subvert them. And make sure that you come out with a different outcome from that party. Plan and think through the outcome that you want. On the sober coaching course over Christmas, we'll be making sure that those are written down and everyone in the group has them. So the team of people going through sober Christmas for the first time will be keeping each other accountable. You will also have tons of internal triggers. You will be stressed, you'll be tired, you'll be angry, you'll be pissed off with a family member that you are always pissed off by because they really annoy you. All of these things are going to happen. They will not be a surprise to you because they've probably happened every year for the last 10 years. So begin to write down those triggers and think about how you might avoid them. You've always been tired and grumpy in previous years because you've always been marginally hungover for all of probably a month. So actually you can begin to be more confident that this year you won't be so grumpy, and this year you might be more tolerant because this year you're not full of hangover. So that's one good thing to do. But actually a good reward for you this December is some early nights. Factor them in, get some sleep, think about how you're going to get your R&R in so that you can compensate for the fact that you may end up spending time with some people you don't particularly enjoy spending time with, or that you're going to a party that you're going to have to work really hard to restrain yourself from. In fact, really good preparation for dealing with a Christmas party where you need to hold your own is maybe to have an early night the night before, ask if you can come in late the morning of the party, definitely take your lunch hour if the party's after work and give yourself some space and time so that you can go to that event not tired, so that you don't give in. Make sure you drink plenty of water during the day so you're hydrated and you don't give in. Make sure you might even have gone with a full stomach so that if the wine starts flowing before the meal comes, you don't feel hungry and therefore you will give in and have a glass of wine. Because you know what? If you don't eat all the meal because you've already put some food in your face before you went, it doesn't really matter, guys, because you would have got through a social event and you would have got through it sober. Take some Tupperware, take it home, have it for breakfast. That's what I would do personally, but as you know, I'm really cheap. So start to think about how you get enough sleep, how you get enough fluids, how you get enough time out this Christmas, and you plan it in as well alongside all of your new moments of joy. Then think about the people that might make you angry and think about how you're going to deal with them this year. Is there somebody who can help you with that person? Have your children got a bit older, and could you say, for an hour, would you mind showing Uncle Peter how to play Minecraft so that I've got a little bit of space to myself? That's one thing that you can do to help me. Or could your partner take them away for a while? No, there's no rules that say once a family unit are all in one space together, they cannot leave that space or do anything separately or independently. Start to think about how you use the assets that you have, which are people that are around you, and share some of that burden and share some of that load. And also don't be afraid to go, right, I'm going to take an hour out and go for a walk around the block and spend a little bit of time on my own, rather than feel that I'm completely suffocated in this space with a person who makes me anxious or angry. Emmy, just to let you know that the webinar you'll be able to watch afterwards, so it doesn't matter if it stops and starts a little bit, you should be able to see us afterwards. Also think about the points at work that might make you anxious, like that run up to Christmas where if you're in a really busy job it might get quite complicated, and work out how you're going to deal if a stressful day happens. If you're hungry, angry, lonely or tired, what's the thing that you're going to reach for? And again, this is where you need to have some really tasty snacks that really interest you, that are easy at hand. You need to have some non-alcoholic beers and wines in the fridge. You need to know that you've got something quick at hand. So the minute you go, oh, this is the point where I would normally have a gin and tonic, you can go, right, that's it, I've got this in the fridge instead. or I'm going to drink a pint of water before I do anything else, or I'm going to go for a walk around the block. These trigger moments will happen without a doubt. The way that you will stop yourself from drinking during those trigger moments is if you plan for it. And that's the sad fact. Planning works. But the other thing is you can pop onto the Facebook group and have a good old rant, and everyone can sympathise with you, and you'll feel you've got it out of your system too. So internal triggers and external triggers. They are two separate but combining lists of things, because sometimes it's events that might make you stressed or anxious. Then finally, and again we'll be doing some of this on the Christmas coaching course, is picture your Christmas day. What do you want it to be this year, or your Boxing Day, Christmas Day and Christmas Eve, depending on when you celebrate things. Have a little image on your mind on how you want it to be. I'm not saying that you have to have an image of yourself like, you know, some Disney person going around and you've got like snowflakes around you and birds singing. I'm not saying that your day should be like that, but have a little think about how you might want your day to pan out. Would you like some space to yourself in the morning to read a bit of book before you rush up and engage in family stuff? Do you maybe want to take some of the stresses out of the day by devolving stuff to other people? The thing I've realised about this group is we're all really high functioning people. We all look after other people in our life. We're not often very good at letting other people look after us. So is there something you can ask someone to do for you that will make your Christmas day better and different, and take a departure totally away from last year? So have a think through those days over Christmas and even those events over Christmas, like your Christmas party, and think about how you want that to look and feel for you this year. And then don't forget to reward. In a month where it's all about spending, presents, eating, drinking, make sure that you reward yourself for having got through that consumerist hell. So do make sure you buy yourself a gift this Christmas and say, right, when I get through Christmas sober on the 27th, whenever the day is that your big Christmas triggers come over, I'm going to do this. And I'm going to, yes, exactly, Charlotte, play it forward trick. If I do this really well, then my treat at the end of this is to go and have a spa, go and join the in between Christmas and New Year drink with Laura and the gang, or I'm going to buy myself a train ticket to somewhere really exciting later in this year and spend a weekend. I'm going to book myself an adult education course that starts in January, and I'm going to spend the 27th going through those adult education courses at the local college to see what really piques my fancy. I'm going to join the cinema. I'm going to join the theatre membership, because you would have saved so much money this year. You know, think about it. You could spend £200 on becoming a friend of your theatre for the year and have free theatre tickets. There are many, many things that you can do which not only reward you for succeeding over Christmas, but will take you through the start of the new year as well. Wow, this is like a totally different Christmas for you. This is a Christmas about reward and treating yourself like a grown-up human being that needs nurturing and caring for, not somebody who needs more and more alcohol down their throat and to feel tired and soaked and hungover all the time. So think about your treat, what you want to buy yourself. I need to think about what I want to buy myself this year. I've actually got a £50 voucher from doing some user testing for a government website, and I think it's such a treat to have this £50 to spend that's on a voucher that I've not spent it, because I've thought of about 50,000 things I'd want to spend it on, and now I'm too indecisive, I can't work out one. But I do enjoy every now and again thinking, maybe I can buy a pair of boots or something. Anyway, don't forget to reward yourself. So just a reminder that if any of you want any special extra help this year, we've got a set number of places on the Christmas coaching course, which means you'll get lots of extra support and help from us. I'm hoping some of you will come on it. I'll be around on that group on Christmas Day to coach you through anything that you want to get through. I might be using that as an excuse not to go home for Christmas. But anyway, but I will also be around on those evenings when you've got a Christmas party or an event that you're really stuck for. Last year, when Susie, who you saw on the website earlier this week, has nearly got to 12 months, she started a new job 2 weeks before Christmas, and every day they had alcohol in their office, and she went into that office as a non-drinker, and we got her through 2 weeks of alcohol-soaked hell in her new job. And if you can start your giving up drinking 2 weeks before Christmas in a new job, then anyone can do it, and I'm dead chuffed for Susie for having done it. So anyway, Shay's starting up a new platform for startups. Get her. Woo! I can be fancy pants too. What am I gonna set up in January? I'll set up something, don't you worry. We're actually setting up a website, but we won't go there. So that's it for this week. Come back and watch this in repeat if you want to. Candice, I know you don't live in the UK, but honestly, there was champagne for breakfast, there was champagne for lunch, there was champagne for dinner in their office, and it can get very boozy in Britain. There doesn't need many excuses to open a bottle of wine earlier than normal and to get some alcohol in the office, to be honest. So we've got like 40, 50 bottles of non-alcoholic beer in our office at the minute, so I don't think we're going to be that popular. But anyway, okay, right, I'm going now, Candice and Shay and everyone else. And I will see you online this week. Okay, bye.